Greetings, everyone, and welcome once again to TFT Tarot for Today, Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges, which is my weekly forecast for the elemental signs of the Zodiac with tarot cards. And I'm presenting that for today, Friday, November 27th, till next Thursday, that's December 3rd. So this reading hopes to give you all of the emotional ups and downs, currents or undercurrents that may be going on in your life. So usually we start with the collective thought for the day, and I'm going to use my Isis Tarot for that. Let's see what we get. Our collective thought for the week. Oh, how nice. How nice indeed, especially since, of course, it is Thanksgiving. So, in some sense of the term, Thanksgiving is about celebrating the harvest. I realize that there's a lot of things going on with the world in terms of political correctness and what the holiday actually means, but we're just going to go with it in the spirit of pulling this card for the collective, number 31. We have achieved something through our hard working, our careful manners. We are harvesting our fruits. This is a period of material well-being, prosperity, and success. So now we're going to do the rest of our reading. For air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, what emotional happiness will you find this week? Your first card is the Prince of Cups. So that's like the Knight of Cups. So I think that maybe we are going to have an influx of some really good emotional, pleasurable times. The card typically means things coming into your life. They could also mean things moving away, but in my mind, either effect results in some sort of happiness for you. So it could be that maybe some things that are not as pleasing to you or just downright not pleasing at all leave, and that makes you happy. But it's more likely that what's happening is something really happy. So you could think about people coming to see you safely that really make your heart feel well. Or maybe, maybe a Zoom meeting can do it for you. I mean, this is really, and I realize that the holiday is already over, Thanksgiving, but now begins the holiday season here. And so a lot of times people are trying to find ways to connect emotionally. So that's a good thing, right? All right, what's next? What emotional challenges or surprises will you face in this week? Well, keeping up the cups here with our emotions, and we have the Two of Cups. And I think that the emotional surprise this week is that maybe some strong bonding and harmony with your best. Maybe it's your best friendship, maybe it's your best relationship, maybe it's the one you truly love, your soulmate, your twin flame, your wife, your husband, your lover. So I think that this is a time this week where it's more of a surprise than a challenge, but maybe the challenge is that it happens and it surprises you to the point where this really feels like maybe it's moving to a new level. It's a commitment. If it's not talking about the commitment of marriage, maybe it's the commitment to taking the relationship itself to another level, to exploring spirituality or certain things together. So I think that's a challenge and a surprise, and hopefully that'll be a good one for us. And then finally, what will concern all of our relationships this month? What will concern the platonic, romantic, family, coworker, and other relationships this month? And we have the reversed 5 of discs, the 5 of coins is another thought there. And let's see if I can move that over a little bit. There we go. And I think that what concerns our loved ones and our strongest friendships is that there's been a lot of harshness recently, and there's been a lot of lost feelings, and that some of us maybe are doing better, are pulling through that, and some of us are not. And so I think look to your relationships and your loves and check in on them, see how they're doing at this time. Like I said, some people will feel that things are rectifying. Some people will feel they're still without hope or without a direction. So it is a good time for the air signs to be aware. And of course you are, mentally oriented, but you're having a strong amount of emotional things going on this week, to use that and to check in on everyone and bring stronger harmony into all your relationships. So that's what I have for the air signs. And now we're going to move on to the fire signs. And the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And their word of the week is conjecture. So once again, it's one of those semi-antiquated, not used in common parlance as much. But conjecture, I suppose, is when we kind of devise thoughts or realize thoughts, maybe when we come to a solution or we have an observation that makes us feel it fulfills a theory or a hypothesis. So a lot of this is probably taking place on an emotional realm, of course, because that's our reading here. So maybe the idea is that for fire signs, they should discern and arrive at conclusions maybe about where some of their emotional situations are going, whether they're romantic or just things involving strong relationships or strong bad relationships even. I mean, maybe we have to just decide what's going on with all these and figure out what we're going to do with them. So let's move on to the reading. And since we're talking about fire signs like my wife, the Banshee, who is an Aries, we should also mention that her show comes on Sundays, Banshee's Material Matters, and her show is more or less the economic or material kind of view of the opposite of what I'm doing. I'm doing the emotional points of your life. She's doing things that are more practical about your prosperity, your keys to success, as she puts that. So check that out, 10 a.m. Sunday mornings on our YouTube channel. If you subscribe, you'll already be getting a notification. So do check that out. And just another shuffle here. I'm working with an alternate table space, quote unquote. Okay. So for fire signs, what emotional happiness will you find this week? And we're continuing with the cups because it is emotions, and we have the Four of Cups reversed. So the Four of Cups reversed, it may be saying that we're really happy because some particular thing in our emotional life, our romantic life, our friendship life, we have decided to make a choice about something. Maybe we have looked at a number of choices or a number of options, and maybe we now know where we want to plot our course. So, of course, that sort of has that total tinge of maybe people who might have been dating a couple people or were working closer towards looking at choices in their relationship. Maybe there are just other kinds of choices too. That doesn't imply that we're choosing from door 1, door 2, or door 3, but maybe the idea is this relationships are a little more complicated today. So maybe some of us have to say, well, we're going to keep separate residences, but we can alternate weekends at either's house for this relationship, or we're going to decide we are going to move in together into one or the other's place and therefore dispose of the other's place, or maybe dispose of all places and move into a new place. So there's always choices to make in relationships that maybe don't always talk about the actual romantic properties of the relationship, but are more functional. So it could be about that. So let's move on. And what emotional challenges or surprises will you face? And there's that Knight or Prince of Discs of coins, or coins. And they're upright. So this is, once again, a positive coming or going of something involving our emotions. And I'm thinking that maybe something particularly strong comes to us. And maybe it ties in with the idea of choices. I mean, maybe some of us are really between two places with our romantic or our friendship lives. Maybe we are looking at the possibility of making incredible decisions about who we really will be with, who we will spend more time with, who we will marry, who we have children with, or build lives together. So it could just be that kind of thing, that those are the challenges or surprises, that maybe more about what the matter is will come to the fore. More of us will have to look at this a little seriously and say, does this thing coming into my life really mean what I think it means, or does it mean something more or less serious? And then finally, what will concern all of these relationships, romantic, platonic, otherwise, co-workers? And again, another cup. And it's the reversed Ace of Cups. Ooh, fire signs. It may seem that some things that have begun recently, new relationships or new aspects to relationships, new projects within relationships, there may be some delays, or there may be some significant, maybe we want to not do this kind of ideas floating around there. It could just very well be that other people in our romantic and emotional spheres are not quite in sync with either our plans or their own plans, and maybe their own plans as they involve us. So it may be that other people in our lives are going to have to put out small yield signs, small stop signs to say, wait, I'm still working on this. I don't quite have it together. You're working on the holiday get-togethers and parties, or ways of expanding, relationships. Holidays are really such a great time for relationships to find new meaning and move to those other levels, because there's such a good feeling of camaraderie with everybody, and everybody seems to support your choices. But maybe this year it's just going to be a little bit more hard to do that. So I'm sorry, but that's what I'm kind of sensing there too. So, like always, check in with people, talk to people, communicate. We're going to move on now to our next signs. And those are the water signs. The water signs. Water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. I'm a Scorpio, if you didn't know. And interesting enough, as a Scorpio, but maybe for the other water signs, our word of the week is transformation. And as you can see, that's Major Arcana 21 in this deck, which is most likely the World. Or it could also be Judgment, I guess. Sometimes the numbering patterns go. Transformation does really, in this context, sound more like Judgment. I only use this deck for the word of the week because I like the fact that all of the arcana have nice words on them that give little mottos or little thoughts. So it's quite a cool deck to use. But in this context, I think that the Word of the Week transformation, water signs, you really need to think about all of that. You need to find ways to re-embrace and maybe expand outwards exponentially even your powers of spiritual growth and spiritual reclamation, reclaiming whatever it is in your spirituality that helps you meter all of your work and your journeys with your emotional realms and with other signs, all of that. So keep that in mind. We're going to move on to the reading now. All right. So water signs, what emotional happiness will you find this week? And you have temperance. That's beautiful. Water signs, the emotional happiness you find is in seeking moderation in most things, especially though where it comes to the things you love the most. So the thing is that you may love this time of year the most, but sometimes maybe you fall into excessive habits, eating too much, drinking too much, that kind of thing. So consider that as a caution, at least for this week ahead, that you should consider being moderate in all the things that bring you happiness, because you want to share the happiness with others. So now, what emotional challenges or surprises will you face this week? And that's the reverse Nine of Swords. Nine of Wands, I'm sorry. And I think that card is telling me that what is a surprising or challenge is that maybe in some ways you're going to feel you don't feel as good about holding on to certain things, that maybe there are some things you're not really willing to stand up for, that maybe there are some things that you can let go that you don't want to fight for. This may be the idea that when you look at what does challenge you emotionally at this week or in this time, you may be looking critically at what value there really is here. Maybe water signs, you let certain things tug at you more or less, but it may actually inspire you to face the challenge that some things just are not always worth fighting harshly for, and that sometimes it's better to run away and live again to fight another day. So that could be a surprise. And then finally, what will concern your various relationships, family, romantic, co-workers, platonic, other relationships that you feel good about, even acquaintances that are closer to you? And it's the Five of Cups, and it's upright. What will concern our relationships the most, whether they be romantic, family, co-workers, relatives, platonic, of different sorts. And the Five of Cups seems to indicate that some of the people around us will feel like they are not getting enough in certain ways, or that certain things have left them behind, certain things have failed for them. Maybe they will feel that certain people's relationships are dissolving before them, or that they're missing them. And I think a lot of this is due to the current situations with COVID and things like that, that people are finding a lostness. And I think that maybe you'll have to keep this in mind and see how you can be more transformative and bring some hope back to people by assuring them that, things may look different now, but there is always something there for you. You just have to find it. Sometimes you just have to open up your heart to finding that. So be reassuring to people. Try to help them understand the emotionality of this time, and that the glass may be half full, maybe half empty, but why not work on filling it up again? So that's what I have for the water signs. And now we're going to close out our session here by moving on to the earth signs. Earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And their word of the week is temperance. So earth signs are probably pretty good at this, being pretty much more moderate in some respects, not necessarily going immediately to a certain solution or understanding, but really weighing things and really trying to maintain balance. So you will find yourselves doing that even more so this week, or if you don't normally do that, that is your word for the week. Try to find moderation, try to be accommodating, welcoming, and balanced in all your relationships with people. So now we're going to move on to the reading. Get my cards there. Okay, what are earth signs? What emotional happiness will you find this week? And we are seeing the reversed Five of Wands for you. So the reversed Five of Wands seems to suggest that maybe things are cooling down where they have been a little bit more competitive or too active, that maybe people maybe who've had some issues have resolved those issues, and that maybe if you had some personal disagreements or some little fits of temper with certain people, a lot of that is going to empty away, and maybe people are starting to embrace the holiday spirit here in America, at least, as we are now full swing into it with Thanksgiving having passed. So what emotional challenges or surprises will you face this week? And there he is again, that Prince of Cups. He's come up in two other elements readings this morning here, and it is reversed though, so it's a little different from the previous readings. The Prince of Cups seems to indicate that what is surprising us is maybe we may be seeing some difficulties in some emotional relationships we have. We may see some situations passing. Maybe this means people who are emotionally close to us are maybe having some distance with us. It could be just because of the way things are. But I think that there is somebody maybe in our emotional realm who could possibly use a little connection with us, because maybe they just don't feel it right now. So this could be saying that what is challenging you is to reach out to any of the folks who you feel are a little bit more distant from you emotionally. Don't let them go away from you entirely. Check in on them, that kind of thing. And then finally, what will concern your various relationships the most from your point of view? Your family, platonic, co-workers, other relationships, romantic ones. And it is the Seven of Discs, and it's reversed. So that's like the Seven of Pentacles. So I'm thinking that some of these folks here are saying, it's nearly the end of the year, and it's nearly the holidays, and I have all these things to do. There's my fingers. So maybe this is what it's talking about. It's time to really have a little more active stance in our lives. There are things that you've been sort of just letting go and not really working on. And now will be the time really for you to focus on doing some of those things. A lot of it sounds like just plans that have been in motion and that maybe you haven't tended as carefully. But now will be the time for those folks to feel that concern and to maybe start figuring out what they can do. How does that involve you? Hard to say. Maybe at the very least, you might need to help them move some of this energy or this situation along. Or at the worst, it may be the kind of thing that some of these things that are moving on may move away from you. So that's something to watch out for too. Can't say that I see that clearly, but I'm just throwing that out as a possibility. At any rate, that's what I have for the earth signs, and thus that ends my segment here on Oberon's outlook on the emotional exchanges. I am pleased that you have watched. I really appreciate if you like, subscribe, share, comment, etc. I'll be back again next week, and in the meantime, of course, you can always watch our stream schedules, watch Banshee's Material Matters on Sunday, and we'll see you again next time, everybody. Bye.